Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic in the experiments on water and wastewater. This topic is called the solid analysis, right? So, what are the types of solids which are present in water, and what are the types of solids which are present in wastewater? We have to understand the types of solids present in water and wastewater, because all those solids which are present in water or in wastewater either lead to impurities or lead to different other problems in the reactors also. ठीक है, तो we have to understand that what are the solids which are present, because before treatment, right, we have to understand the quality of the influent. So for understanding the quality of influent, we must try to understand that what are the different types of solids which are present in a wastewater stream or in basically in general water stream, right? So the total solids which are present in a sample are called total solids, right? That is, any type of solid that are mixed with a water sample, which may be either in suspended form, which may be either in dissolved form or anything, all these solids combine to form total solids, right? So the first and the foremost step of understanding the solids is understanding the total solids. Now what we do is we try to filter this total solid, right? So when we filter the solid, the dissolved solid pass through the filter paper. There is a paper called Wattman paper, right, whose pore cap size is usually in between 0.45 micron to 2 micron, right? So with that filtration paper, we filter the sample. What that remains on the filter paper is called the retained matter, and whatever that passes through this this filter paper is the filtrate. In that filtrate is the TDS. TDS is called total dissolved solid, right? That is the amount of solid present in water which is not retained on the filter paper, or which is in such a smaller proportion or such a smaller sizes that it passes through the filter paper. Such type of solids are called total dissolved solids, right? And they are popularly known as TDS, right? Whatever the amount of filtrate which is passed through will leave only the retained matter on the filter paper. So whatever is retained on the filter paper is the suspended solid. So the total solids which was in suspended form in a sample is called TSS, which is called total suspended solid. What we do after that we take out this total suspended solid and then we try to ignite it, right? We burn it, right? After burning, there would be a reduction in the amount of the total suspended solid. So whatever the component which is ignited or which is burned will burn off and will disappear from this sample of total suspended solid, and a small portion will still remain. That small proportion is called fixed suspended solid, and whatever the mass reduced of the total suspended solid will give you volatile suspended solid. So the organic matter which is present in the total suspended solid will obviously burn off, and that would be the amount of volatile suspended solid, right? So why are we studying these solids? What are these solids required to be studied? Because the presence of solids make a water sample or a water contaminated, and this contaminated water cannot be used for potable purposes. So this suspended solid or this total solid will demarcate the limits of drinking water or polluted water or this may be in the form of domestic and industrial wastewater, and it can also be in the form of sludge produced in the treatment process, right? So all these solids are very important to be studied, because these solids comprise the standards for various uses of water, right? So again, what there are significance in environmental engineering application. Total solids are all the solids in water sample, as I told you. Total suspended solid is the amount of filterable solid on a water sample. Filters are dried and weighed, right? Total dissolved solid is which is non-filterable, that is which passes through the filter paper with a pore size of 2 micron. After filtration, the liquid is again dried and the residue weight is the total dissolved solid. Right? Volatile solids are those solids which are lost in heating to 500 degrees centigrade. Right? And what are the fixed solids? The remaining solids after igniting the volatile solids are the fixed solids, or which are also called our inorganic solids. Right? So what are the classification? Several of these sections have significance in environmental engineering. TDS is important with respect to drinking water and irrigation purpose. TSS, total suspended solid, basically add to the turbidity of water, right? So this is used as a standard for safe drinking water consumption. That is, in the last lecture I had told you that the total amount of suspended solid, or the total amount of turbidity, should not be more than 10 NTU. So between 5 to 10 NTU, if there is turbidity, then the water is acceptable for drinking purpose also, right? VSS, that is the organic matter, provides a measure of water to consume oxygen, right? Because this is the organic matter which will be eaten up by the bacteria. So the more the organic matter present in a water sample, the more would be the oxygen requirement for the bacteria to disintegrate it, right? So it's a rough approximation of the amount of organic matter. So this is also important, right? So now we are trying to understand what type of experiments we do to find out these different types of solid. So you can see in the figure that there is an evaporating dish. This evaporating dish can be either made of porcelain, right, or it can be made of other materials of laboratory quality, right? So this evaporating dish has the capacity to bear high temperatures when put in oven, right? So when we are trying to find the total solids, what we do is the total we put a sample in this evaporating dish after and then we will measure it, right? We'll also measure the weight of this evaporating dish, and then we put the sample in a drying oven at 103 to 105 degrees centigrade for 24 hours. The residue, the water will evaporate and the residue will be left behind. The residue remaining upon evaporation is your total solids. So there are two ways that solid material may be classified: suspended solid and dissolved solid, volatile solid and fixed solid, that we have already discussed. The total suspended solid are the part of the sample that may be caught with a 0.45 microM filter. Total dissolved solid are the part of the sample that will pass through this filter, right? In drinking water, mostly we have dissolved solids, which are organic, inorganic salts or dissolved organics, and its rate is between 20,000 milligram per liter, right? So now we have demonstrated that the measurement procedure of the total suspended and the volatile suspended solid. So what we are doing is insert glass fiber filter, right? Then seat the filter vertically above it, and we have to dry it briefly for 103 degree. Then whatever is left, we will measure it, and then we will ignite it in muffle furnace at 550 degrees centigrade for 15 minutes, right? What we do after that is we will cool in a drying oven briefly. That is, what we are doing is that because the temperature in muffle furnace can go up to 1800 degrees centigrade. So such high temperature, the porcelain dish becomes very hot. So what we do is, when we switch off the muffle furnace, we will leave it in the oven for drying for a certain time. Then we use another vessel sort of structure which is called desiccator. What does the desiccator do? Desiccator is basically something in which the sample is put so that it can dry on a room temperature, and side by side it does not it does not get the water from the moisture, okay, that is present in the room. So when we dry up the sample, or when we are cooling up the sample, we put it in a desiccator at a room temperature so that it does not absorb moisture from the room condition. Again, we can weight the crucible. So there are two types of weights which are possible. The normal weights that you have seen in your labs are the electronic weighing machines. These electronic weighing machines can also come in the form of machines which do not allow air to enter it. That is, these machines can be encompassed by a glass material which does not allow the weight to be altered by air, right? So there can be two types of machine. So what we will do is we will weigh that crucible, right? Crucible, as I have already told you, the thing that in which we are putting our sample. Then what we will do is we will the measure total suspended and the volatile suspended solid. So what we are left with is the suspended solid after filtration, right? After filtration, और उसके बाद क्या करना है कि we will wash the crucible and filter it with distilled water. Then dry crucible should be dried at 103. Then they are again cooled in the desiccator. The weight of the crucible plus the suspended solid that is retained on the workman paper is weighed, and then we ignite it in muffle furnace. A portion of it will be lost by muffle furnace, and a portion would be still left behind on the crucible. The portion which is left behind is the fixed solid. Again, the same process of cooling in the drying oven, then cooling in the desiccator, and weighing the crucible. So when we weigh the crucible, we will deduct the amount or the weight of crucible from it, and we already knew the weight of crucible plus suspended solid. So when we reduce the weight of crucible from the total solids that are left, we will find the weight of the fixed solid, that is the inorganic solid which was not burnt, and whatever is the reduction in the amount of the total weight of suspended solid, that reduction would be the volatile suspended solid, that is organic solid which has been burned by putting the sample of suspended solid into the muffle furnace. Okay. There can be different type of filter apparatus as shown in these figures. These are the figures, again explaining the various thing that I have already explained to you. And if you try to understand the calculation, what we do is when we filter the sample, that is the amount of known amount of sample is filtered, and whatever the left in the filter, and the weight of filter paper, that is we will dry the filter paper at 105 degree. The weight of filter paper plus the residue is termed as B, and the weight of the filter paper only is A. So what we will do is to convert it into milligram per liter, what we do is multiply it by 1000, B minus A into 1000 divided by the sample volume which we initially started with is the total suspended solid. Then what we do is B minus C into 1000 upon sample volume will give total volatile solid, that is the amount of total suspended solid is put in a crucible, the crucible is weighed, and the amount which has been burnt is the total volatile solid, and whatever is left behind is the total fixed solid. So now you understand different types of solids present in water and wastewater. Please mark your attendance on WhatsApp group. Thank you.